And our next conversation we are going to be having with representatives from Pride TT. Now, we are just almost at the end of Pride Month, and we have the opportunity this morning to chat with its members to find out how Pride Month has gone, and also, what the theme was for this year and what they are going to do moving forward. Joining me this morning, it's co-chair Zoe Sazzle, and we also have the director and trustee of Pride TT, Faye Ferdinand. Good morning to my guests, and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning, and happy Pride Month.
Yes, it's thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now let's jump right into the conversation because we don't have so much time. So first off, what's the theme for 2021, Pride TT 2021?
The theme for this year is #power. Right? So it's a play on the word power, but we are re-emphasizing the her in power, as an ode, as a tribute to our women and femmes who have come before in the movement, in the acknowledgement that Pride started off as a protest, not a party. And that was led by women, and also in light of all of the gender-based violence and the real attack against our women that we've seen on a national scale.
Yeah.
Earlier this year and even last year, we wanted to dedicate this year's theme to the empowerment and focusing and centralization of our women. So #power.
Definitely. And let's hone in on that topic of gender-based violence. We'll speak about the women first, but we'll also speak on gender-based violence on the other genders within the LGBTQIA+ community.
Yeah.
Now, we have seen an increased awareness, but also an increased prevalence of violence against women in Trinidad and Tobago and worldwide, especially with the dawn of the pandemic, where there had been more reports of domestic violence and other forms of violence. Where does Pride stand as it pertains to that and raising more awareness?
Yeah, let you take this on.
Just as within the general population of Trinidad and Tobago, there is gender-based violence, not only from outside of the community to within our community also it exists. Our community is just a microcosm of the entire population of Trinidad and Tobago, so we are faced with it. And COVID has really and truly added even more stressors onto our community, which has increased the violence within it. Also, people have lost their jobs and everything else, just like everybody else. So yeah, it's very important to us, and we have many things that we wish to put in place to counteract things, but we have to take it as we can do it as much as possible. It's all about education and trying to get some plans in. So you jump back in.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think, Harry, it's so important what you mentioned about the other genders and the aspect of gender-based violence that we have been seeing more so, with regards to members of our community that in previous times would have had the opportunity to be out. Sometimes
right.
Home would have just been a place that you rest your head. Right, you're accustomed being out, but now in these times we're forced to be home, sometimes with partners or family members who, are not as tolerant and are not accustomed to having us in this space so permanently. So there's also that layer that we're dealing with.
Yeah, definitely, and of course, discrimination against members of the community. Have any of you ever personally experienced violence from anyone in your life because of your sexuality, because of who you are?
Yes, I have. When I first came out, I was discovering myself. My parents had a very difficult time with it, and for a short space in time, I was thrown out of my home. Apart from that, I used to work on Independence Square, and I had to traverse Port of Spain from the location where the taxi would drop you off to get into the office. And there was this particular gentleman who harassed me for 3 weeks and telling me things like he knows who I am and what I am and those type of things. And he would follow me no matter wherever I changed my route. He knew where I worked, so he would be within that vicinity, and he specifically would follow me and say all sorts of nasty things against me. I'm also a person who has been sexually molested as a child, and that is prevalent in our community also.
I'm really sorry to hear that you had that experience, and I'm really sorry that, you know, it is still too prevalent here in Trinidad and Tobago that you are treated as less. You're not treated as any person should be treated. And I'm also sorry that there isn't more in place right now for protection of people in the LGBTQIA plus community.
Well, Carrie, I think that's a great point. And, you know, I so appreciate your sentiments. And, you know, within the community, there's so many stories of not just violence, but discrimination.
Yep.
And you're right, legislation is one of the main places in which and that's part of our discussions this year. Actually, yesterday we had a panel as part of our monthly events that was legislative activism, you know, and it was speaking specifically to the laws of the land and the places in which we need to impact our, you know, change most effectively. I myself was in a unique working environment in which, you know, I was forced to choose between my gender identity or, you know, working in accordance with, I identify as a trans group. So my ID does not match up with who I present to be, you know. And these are the kinds of legislative changes we need, you know, so that from the highest level down, the government recognizes the importance of LGBT people and the importance of us being able to live our day-to-day lives.
Well, let's dial back a little bit, Zoe. When it comes to the legislation and education, especially, do you not think we should start from schools? Because I mean, I when I went to secondary school, it was commonplace. I went to an all-boys secondary school. It was commonplace for those who seemed different from the norm, and I put that in inverted commas, to be ridiculed and to be treated differently because of who they are and how they express themselves. Now, do you not think it's something that we need to even raise more awareness on the school level to ensure that protection and understanding starts from the very beginning?
Yeah, definitely, you know, especially sensitization, awareness, you know, uniquely now in this time, this day and age, the youth, the young people, as we call them, Gen Z, Gen X, I don't know which generation, but they have access to YouTube and, you know, American media, which thereby comes and such an increased awareness and sensitization. But we have found, you know, that it's so important, even just to make awareness in our own context, our own local expressions of who we are, how our community exists locally. And you're right, conversations and education should begin even from the secondary school level.
Yeah, because I mean, what is ingrained from a young age, it persists into adulthood unless that adult takes it upon themselves to become more educated and to change the way in which they were taught to think. So I think, you know, on so many levels it needs to be tackled, just as with gender-based violence, it needs to be tackled on every level to ensure that we get to the place that we need to be, you know, and not just in these archaic times and in the archaic way of thinking. Before we go, I just want to ask about, is there anything being done online for the hashtag Power movement and the theme for this year that people can participate in, be educated about?
Yeah, definitely. Faye, let me let you take this one.
No, I was just about to say, you had said that we're almost at the end of Pride, but we actually have something like 3 more weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
we're going all the way to the end of July.
All right, so more time for more education and more awareness.
Yeah. Actually,
and more community.
Tonight we have Allies and Activism, where we're going to discuss what we expect of allies and what role they could play within the movement. And our allies are not just our family and those people that care about us, are people who basically think that you know, everybody should be living equally, have respect, and, you know, end discrimination across the board. So we invite everybody to join and look at our social media pages. And come on, let's have your say. Let's hear your voices.
Yeah, we have a series of broadcasts for the next 2 weeks, for the end of this week or throughout next week, from Women Who Love Women to trans women at large. We have an interreligious service. So every night, if you check out our Facebook page at Pride TT, we have a live broadcast. It's on Facebook, YouTube, And one of the final events that we also want to let everyone know and let our community members know we're having is a vaccinate. So we are joining with the public health officials, and we are having a batch of vaccines for our community so that our community members could access this crucial health care in peace and in comfort, and also so that we can do our part to contributing to the global return to the new, whatever the new normal is, the double jab.
Right?
and Carrie, one thing that we can't fail to mention is Generation Gap, where we've partnered with Scotiabank. And we're starting this new program where we're going to give young LGBT folks the tools and knowledge and skills to reach their potential, because there's so much negativity upon them. A lot of people do not allow themselves the freedom to shine, to build the dream of the life that they see or they envision for themselves, because things are so hard. So we're kicking things off again with our 4th installation of the Next Generation Gap, where we have an all-women panel. We will discuss what their experience is like and what kind of knowledge they could impart to younger ones. And we have younger ones coming in and asking the questions. But in the 10-month program that we'll have with Scotiabank, we're going to take it piece by piece and give them so many things. You know, we're going to cover things like living your truth and finding empowerment, character development, problem solving, self-care and mental health. And that is so very important in this day and age right now. We all need it. Professional development, financial literacy and management, which is so very important, because it's not just about your youth. It's about planning for your future, for retirement and so forth. Even though a lot of young folks may not think about that then, it's important to start that early. So that's very important for us.
Very, very important. I want to thank you for highlighting that as well. And I want to encourage everyone to go onto the Pride TT social media pages and handles. You can tune in for that online session, those online sessions, and get yourself educated, get yourself more aware, and find out how you can be a proper ally to the LGBTQIA+ community, and and get yourself more information as well, because LGBT rights are human rights, and we want to ensure that we have like our human rights on the forefront here in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, I want to thank you both for being with us this morning. Happy Pride Month. And
thank you very much for having us.
All right, have a good one. That is Zoe Sazel, co-chair of Pride TT, and Faye Ferdinand, director and trustee. We're now going to take a short break and come back with much more right here on the Now Morning Show.